Hi everyone, this is Renee from the Fayetteville Public Library, and I'm going to be talking to you today about Google. Google as a search engine and some of the Google apps that you have available to you, especially if you already have a Google account. We won't be going over all of the apps that Google makes available to you. We are going to have a Google Apps Part 2 class that's going to be coming later, and a different instructor is going to be going over some of those. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're going to cover today. And we'll just start with Google as a search engine. And it is a search engine that was designed to make your search results be more relevant and more useful for whatever it is you're searching for. And we're going to start off by doing just a quick, simple search. And I'm going to look for how many calories there are in an apple. So I just typed in how many calories in an apple, just kind of a long search, but we get some pretty good search results here. And let's just go over some of the general layout that you see as far as any search that you'll do. You'll get, in this case, you've got a pretty quick answer right at the top for 95 calories in an apple. And it shows the quantity here, one medium size, which is considered a 3-inch diameter apple, or one that weighs 182 grams. So you've got your quick answer just right here at the top. And then along the right-hand side, there's kind of an info box here with a lot of information for you already set out. So just in that very fast, 0.75 seconds, I got about 159 million results. So that's a lot to sort through. But typically you're going to see what you're looking for with a simple search. You're going to see those on the first page or two. So let's take a look a little closer at what we're looking at. So if you start scrolling down, you can see that you've got just some general information here at the top. And then you'll start seeing these blue links. And when I hover over them with my mouse, you can see that they're blue, and my cursor changes from the pointer to the little pointing finger, pointing hand. And that shows that that is something that I can click on, and I'll link out to more information. But what I want to point out is for each of these, you could see the website where the information is coming from, and that's very important information to have access to. And in this first case, anyways, you can see when this information was posted on that website. So that's something to pay attention to, where you're getting your information from and how current is it. So you can see that for some of the other sites here. Here's a different site. This first one was womenshealthmag.com. calorieking.com is another one here on the list. And you see just a little bit of info as you go along. Now, with Google, the default setting for search results is you see 10 different results on the first page. And as you keep scrolling down, you even have some recipes here that you can choose from, and then a few more websites that you can link out to. If any of those capture your attention, then you can click on those if you think it's going to have more information than what you see just from the beginning page there at the top. But also at the bottom, it shows you some related searches to how many calories are in an apple, which was my search terms that I entered. And then also the very bottom, all of these, pages here. Here's my first page of 10 results, but I can keep going to page 2, 3, 4, and on and on and on, and really get a lot more information about how many calories are in an apple than you probably ever need. So that's just a very quick, simple search. How many calories are in an apple? A few things about searching in general. You're just using what search terms you're going to use. Capitalization doesn't matter, so you don't have to capitalize any names or places, street names, anything like that. Most punctuation is ignored. Most small words are also ignored, but the order of your words does matter. Google's going to place a greater weight to the words that you put at the beginning of your search than the words at the end. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes a plural form will matter. If you are conducting a search and maybe you're not seeing something that quite makes sense, you might try searching using the plural form of your terms and see if you get something a little different that is landing on more of what you're expecting to find information about. And that brings me to spelling in general. Spelling kind of matters. For example, if I am looking for trails in Fayetteville, so I want to find out information on where the trails are, what are the routes, are they bike trails, walking trails, are they close to my house, are they close to the library, whatever it is that I want to find out. And I search for trails in Fayetteville, but I misspell the word trails and I spell trial instead. Well, they're both words that are spelled correctly, but they're going to bring up very different results. Trials is going to bring up trials in Fayetteville, so legal trials or clinical trials for health studies and that kind of thing, which isn't what I was looking for. So again, if you're seeing something off about your search results, try checking your spelling. And in that case, I would want to change the A and the I around and make sure I'm spelling trails instead of trials. So I was going to get a list of search results either way, but the one with trials was not going to be what I was looking for. However, if you are searching for something, and I'm going to do another search here, you are searching for something and your search term is kind of off from how you would really spell what you're looking for. In this case, I'm going to do a search for genealogy, but I'm going to misspell it on purpose just to see what I get. You're going to spell it Genealogy instead of the correct way. And when I searched that, you can see that I get a lot of results very quickly, but right underneath that it says, did you mean? And then there's a term genealogy and it's correct spelling. Now, I still got a lot of search results. And right here at the top, you can see that these ads are clearly marked. They're placed here at the top, but they are clearly marked as an advertisement. So you might want to skip over those and go on to something else. But again, you know, this isn't what I was looking for. So something isn't quite right. And what it is I did mean to spell the word this way, but maybe you don't know how to spell a word, and Google is helping you out in this way. So you can just click directly on that. And then this is more of what I was looking for. It tells us what genealogy is, and you know, it's a field of history, tracing lineages, things like that. So, okay, now I'm on the right track. So getting back to spelling, sometimes it matters. Sometimes it will kind of help you figure out, you know, and get you pointed in the right direction. So it's a big help in that way. Another thing about spelling is sometimes words can be, you know, you can have a compound word, but if I search, for example, bow tie, so if I type in the word bow and the word tie as two separate words, I get, as I might expect, a lot of images here and some links to bow ties where I can buy some, Amazon, bow ties of Vermont, etc. And different places where I can shop for bow ties. But you know, you can also spell this word as one word. So I'm going to take the space out and conduct another search. It's going to be slightly different. You've got, you still have some ads and you still have some general information about bow ties, and you can see how in this info box off to the right, you can see that it went ahead and put a space in between bow and tie. And then as you go down your search results, bow tie here is one word, but in the next line, it's not. So Google is kind of figuring out what you mean, and the spelling in this instance isn't making a big difference. Let's take a look at an advanced search. So we'll keep bow tie up there, but let's move on to bow tie pasta. If I'm going to look for some bow tie pasta, I've got some in the pantry, or maybe I'm looking for a recipe, some way to use this up. I type in bow tie pasta, I would get these pages right here. Now, I also get this did you mean, and then bow tie as two separate words. But in this case, you know, I really see what I'm looking for. I'm just going to keep going on. Have my little info box over here to the right. I've got some ads here at the top, and it starts right off with some recipes. So I can take a look at any of those or keep scrolling down and see if there's something else that catches my attention. Since I'm just kind of browsing, I don't have anything super specific in mind, but you know, something catches my eye, I'm going to go with this one, Taste of Home, which is something that, you know, I'm familiar with that publication. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And there I've got my recipe for creamy bow tie pasta. And I can get the information there and ingredients and directions and etc. So I'm going to go on back to my search results, or maybe I look at that and go, you know, I don't really care for that one. I can go back and pick one of the other ones off of my results list with something that looks better, or that I may have all the ingredients for too. But what I wanted to show you is, and I have done this myself, where in this example, you know, I've searched for a recipe or I found something, and maybe I even wrote the recipe down, but didn't put where I got it, or I lost the recipe, and I want to go back and find it. Well, you know, there's 9 million results here for bow tie pasta, and without having to sort through a lot of things again, I can go back to Google and search for bow tie pasta, but then under this settings option, I can go to an advanced search. So the thing I remember is that I was looking for bow tie pasta, and I can put in any of these other terms that I may remember from my recipe. But I do remember that I got it, I remember what site I got it from. So I can do tasteofhome.com and search, and there it is. It's the first one that comes up there. Creamy bow tie pasta recipe, Taste at Home. And I recognize the picture. I go, aha, that's it. That's what I was looking for. So let's take a look at this advanced search form again. You've got all these different fields that you can utilize to help focus your search results. And what I like is that these were not always here, but the description for what each field does is off to the right a little bit, and it gives you some directions on what these fields are used for. So again, I took advantage of the site or domain because I remember the site that I got the recipe from. But say you were looking for some information and you specifically wanted it from a you know, an educational site, you can just type in .edu there, or if it's a military site, .mil. I mean, you can really utilize this form to your advantage to make a very focused and targeted search. Maybe not for bow tie pasta recipes, but still, you know, just know that that advanced search form is there for you to use. I'm going to go on back. Okay, and you can see how the search window has the site golden and then tasteofhome.com. So that is transferred from the advanced search form into the search window to conduct that new search. Now, I'm going to go just back to the main Google page here and kind of start from scratch and just talk a little bit about some other ways that you can use advanced searching just from your search screen, from your initial search screen, without even having to go into the advanced form. You can use first of all, you can use good search terms to start with. Say you are looking for information on unemployment, and that's, you know, that's what you're looking for. You type it in there, but it is a very, very big and broad search term. So you are going to get a lot of hits and a lot of results to dig through. So a more targeted search, a more focused search would be unemployment benefits. So if you conduct that type of a search, you're going to get fewer results, but still, if you're in Arkansas, that is going to show things from all over the country. Well, you can add that Arkansas on there and put unemployment benefits Arkansas, and then you're going to be getting to the right place. You're going to be starting off from a better place and with a better chance of getting to what you're looking for without having to sort through a lot of other sites and restarting your search over and over again. So one way to really utilize the search screen from the beginning is to use and select good search terms. Another thing that you have at your disposal is called phrase searching. And I'm going to put my air quotes up here, phrase searching, because you can put in some search terms within quotation marks, and Google is going to treat whatever you put in those quotation marks as one term, as opposed to, say you have, the quick brown fox. If you don't use the quotation marks, your search results just have to have the word quick or brown or fox in it, and it's going to be a lot to sort through. They won't necessarily be in that order, and they won't necessarily be together. You put the quotation marks around there, all of your results are going to have quick brown fox as a term. So it's another way to get a more targeted list of search results when you're using Google. Another thing that you can use, now we talk a little bit about Boolean operators, but Google already uses and those operators are and, or, and not. Google already assumes and, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can use the word or, and that's going to increase your search results that you get. And you also have a way to use the word not. I don't know if you noticed in the advanced search screen, you have a way to weed out a word. I want to search for bow tie pasta recipes, but I don't want it to have, X, term X, whatever that is, marinara or Alfredo or whatever. And your search results will not have those in them. There's a way to do that just from the search window here. Again, just to save you a little bit of time of having to go to the form and fill it out. But I'm going to do a quick search for, let's do Prince Harry. And out of habit, I capitalized his name. Not necessary. I'm going to go ahead and do the search there. And you can see lots of hits, lots of information about him. And scroll down here. And, there's my search results of 10, and then it just goes on and on and on there. But let's say I don't want information about, I just want information about him, but not necessarily Megan. So to take advantage of that not operator, we're just going to put a negative sign, a minus sign, and whatever term we want to take out of our search, let's conduct that search and see how different that might look. So you've got a few top stories here, things from Twitter, some video, and then back down here, and you don't see kind of the, excuse me, like people and, those kind of, well, there's a people one. But I noticed on the other one, before we used the not operator, there was a lot more information that included Megan in with it too. So just keep in mind that you can use the phrase searching using the quotation marks and the not operator by putting a minus sign directly in front of the term that you don't want to necessarily include in your search results. And again, that will help you get a more targeted and focused list of results to look through. Another thing that you can use is called a wildcard, and it's the asterisk, the little star. And as far as Google goes, it acts more like kind of a blank, like a fill in the blank type of a word. And it can it can be used to replace an entire word when you're searching Google. So I'm going to do a quick search using the wildcard or the asterisk. I'm going to do wizard of blank. So there's my asterisk, and I'm going to search there. And, you know, no surprise, you'll get lots of hits for the Wizard of Oz, very popular. But as you start scrolling down, you can see, oh, Wizard of Legend and Wizard of Id, which is a comic. So you've got some other options. Let's say you're trying to remember the name of that comic strip, and it, you know, it's like, I know it's Wizard of something. You can go up here and do that Wizard of, then use the asterisk as that blank space, and then you'll still get a lot of results. And in this case, if I was looking for Wizard of Id, the comic, excuse me, the comic strip, then I would get some information about that. That is also, doesn't work for Google, but that wildcard can also be used as a stemming or a truncation marker in other databases that you might be searching. So keep that in mind. For example, if you are looking, if you use the word thunder and then put the asterisk directly after it, it's going to find every instance of the word thunder. So thunders, thundering, thunderstorm, thunderbolt, thunderstruck, you know, and on and on. So that's more of the wild card, or excuse me, the truncation and the stemming use of the asterisk. But in Google, it kind of acts as a placeholder, as a blank space, and Google will fill in that blank for you. So that is some Google searching that maybe you didn't know about, some of those options that you had. I'm going to go back to the main page here at Google. And just so you know, from this main page too, you can go down here, the very bottom corner on the right, and you'll have your search settings there. You can make some changes to, you can have more than 10 search results. You can change your language there in the settings, and you also have a quick access to the advanced search screen right there. So just know that that's available just from that very front page. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the Google image search. And if you are at google.com, you can just go just over to the right. You see you can click directly on Gmail, but we're going to look at images. We're just going to click on that. It's going to change our search screen just a little bit. Just has the word Google's, but then underneath it, it has images. So you know that you're now off of the web search or the website search. And now we're just going to be looking for images. I'm going to do a quick search. I'm going to use search for good old Charlie Brown. And there we have it, a wide variety of images that come up. Just with him, with Snoopy, with the whole Peanuts gang, a little bit of everything to choose from here. And also, I just want to show you that under the settings tab, you also have your advanced search screen here, and it works for the images just a little bit different. So differently, you can look for image size, a specific type of image. If you need a specific type of image, you do have that site or domain field. So again, you've got the advanced image search form that you can use. But if you go back, you've got some of those available just from this front screen too, under the tools setting. So you can search for a specific size of an image. If you want large, medium, or an icon, you can search for different colors, a type of image here, the time, and usage rights, which is important depending on what you're going to be using the image for. So you've conducted your search here, in this case for Charlie Brown, and I'm going to say that I want to look for medium-sized images. There we go. So I say I'm going to take a closer look at this one right here, this picture of Charlie Brown. So when you do that, when you click on one of the images that you want to take a closer look at, kind of brings it very forward, you know, just up front here, so you get a better look at it. Then as you scroll down, you can see that they show some related images too, kind of thinking like, well, if you like this one that you clicked on, here's some that are pretty similar too. So it might be, you know, just kind of nudging you in the right direction if this is a kind of image that you're looking for. You can also see here where the image is. In this case, it's on Pinterest. And you can click on it here with this link and go take a closer look at it at Pinterest. So let's say you're done with that. And you can just X out of it here, and it'll take you back to your main page. So keep that in mind when you're searching for images. You do have those advanced settings. You've got the form that you can go to, or you can use the tools button here and just kind of look for some of the using some of the limiters here on the front. The next thing that we're going to take a look at, and I'm going to go over here and use this little grid here, and that's going to bring up a lot of the Google apps here. There's my Google search, maps. We're going to look at maps here in a minute, and then it just, if I scroll down, you can see a lot of other options here. But like I said, we're not going to go over all of these. There will be some apps covered in a different class. The next thing that we're going to look at is news. So let me click on that and get it pulled up. There we go. Okay, so when you bring up Google News, it has this general layout here with the headlines kind of going down the middle. Along the left, you've got some different categories. So we'll look at those in just a second. And then on the right, you've got some, you know, general information. And then if you keep scrolling down, you've got some other news stories here that maybe didn't make it out into this main headline section. So what I want to point out here is you've got each of these are in like its own little box. In this top headline here, you can look at even more coverage of that. You know, they give you a good handful here, or you can look at even more if you want to click on that. It'll bring up a page of all different things related just to this topic, to this main headline. And one thing, you know, Google News is an aggregate, and it brings together a lot of different news sources. So a few reasons that we think Google News is a good thing is it shows news from all perspectives. So that is important. And you can take a look here and we'll see where all the different places that these headlines are coming from. Google itself is not a media outlet. So, you know, it's not promoting itself in any way or its views or its business in any way. And it does some amount of fact checking for you. And just over here on the right, you can see some fact check info here. And before the headlines can even, you know, make it to the this news feed, it has to go through a certain process to even make it there. So so those are just a handful of reasons as why, you know, I think this is a good thing that people can use. So let's take a closer look at this, at these headlines here. We can see, number one, we can see the various sources that these news articles are coming from. See USA Today, CNN, Fox News, NPR, another CNN, Daily Mail, Political, and on down the line. A real variety of sources that you can get information from. And just like in a newspaper, there's different sections. There's a sports section, there's an entertainment, science, etc. So it starts off with some headlines, and as you scroll down, here's a US heading right here. And I think world is next. And it just keeps going on and on here. Business, technology has its own heading, entertainment, etc. And you can also jump directly, instead of scrolling, you can jump directly to any of those different categories by clicking on it. If I want to read US news, I could click on that and it'll take me, it'll just jump right to it. I'm going to go back up to the top of the screen. There we go. I'm going to go right back up to the top. of the headlines here. And there's a way, not only that you can see, of course, that in this case, this top article is from USA Today, next one down is from CNN, next one is Fox News. But you can also see how long ago, excuse me, before, or you can see when these were made available. So, 2 hours, 44 minutes, that's relatively new, 6 hours, 12 hours, et cetera, 27 minutes. So you can pay attention to that too. If you've already read something about, a particular topic, you may want to read something that's, newer than what you've already read before. So pay attention to where the news source comes from, how long ago that it was posted. But what I want to show you next is pretty cool. And just keep in mind, you'll have to be logged in with your Google account for this part to work. You can save an article for later. Say I want to read this one right here. I can click on this little thing, looks like a bookmark. If I click on that, it's going to save the article for me to read later. I may not have time to read it now, or may just be browsing through some of the headlines that I want to read later. So I can save this and read them later, and then that way, say I don't come back to this for a few hours, this article may be gone. It may be off of the headlines. There may be a completely different headline a few hours from now. But I've saved this article, and I can read it when I want. Excuse me. Let me take a quick drink. So that's one way that you can use Google News, kind of personalize it and make it really work for you. The next option over here is you can share this article. You can get a link to either text it or email it to somebody, or you can share it on Facebook or on Twitter. And the next one over is that ellipse looking, that dot menu here. And when you hover over it with your mouse, it says more. So let's click on that. It'll take me out. My option here is to go out to the full coverage screen if I want to do that. I can go directly to the website where this news stories come from. In this case, it's CNN. Or if I don't want to have stories from CNN in my news feed, I can hide CNN from that, and I won't get any more stories from that site. And if this particular headline really captures my attention, I want to see more stories like that in my news feed, then I can click that. Or if it's like, no, this really doesn't interest me, I don't want to see a whole lot of stories there, I can select viewer. And you can go in and adjust those in your settings at any time. So that's something that's really neat about Google News, is that you can really customize it, customize your news feed to see the things that you want to read about. Pardon me. And, you can look at the topics that you'll get more information on the topics you're interested in reading news about. So that is, I think, all of that we're going to cover for Google News. Next, we're going to take a look at maps. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. On to maps. Here we go. Let me get up here to Northwest Arkansas. Whoa. Where are we? There we go. Scrolling around a little bit. Okay. So when you open up Google Maps, it kind of figures out where you are, and it will bring up that section for you on the map. You can zoom in or zoom out to get a broader view. Let's do that. We can see a lot of our region that way. But you can use Google Maps, primarily a couple of different ways. Number one, to find where something is, a specific location and address for a place. So for here, in the very simple Google search window over here. Let's look for the Fayetteville Public Library. So when we do that, you notice the map just kind of zeroed right in on where the Fayetteville Public Library is located. And you can see it's right here around this big red marker. And along the left-hand side, you've got the address, which is what I was looking for. And not only that, you have this kind of bird's eye view, just like if you were looking down at a printed out map. You also have, and this is just the map view, the general map view. You also have the option of this satellite view. And it's got a little button down here on my screen, at least it's on the left-hand side of the map. I'm going to click on that. It's going to change it from the simpler map view and change it to a satellite view. And that shows the streets and actual, tops of the building. So you still have that bird's eye view, but you're actually seeing, the tops of buildings and the roads, etc. And, if you look close enough, cars on the road, things like that. So you've got that option, which is kind of cool. And then another thing that you can do with Google Maps is they've got a something called Street View. And on my screen, it's on the very bottom right-hand corner in this case. And I've seen it in different places depending on what computer I'm using. So what you want to look for, it looks like a little person standing there. You can click on that and you might see the screen change a little bit. In this case, it kind of makes the street view change color and it's kind of blue. Well, again, I was searching for the Fayetteville Public Library, so I'm going to click here, right close to it with the street view. Well, there we go. And it's going to take me to the view where it's like if I'm just a person standing on the street. And since I am familiar with this, I could see that I'm just at the four-way stop here. And it says right here on the screen that this is South School. And you can see the stop sign there. And if I click on the street, following that arrow, it's just going to kind of walk me up the street, just like I was walking. And I can go around the corner here, click and drag, and now it shows my street as West Mountain. And I can keep turning around, and then you can see the straight corner there, the intersection of School and Mountain. And now I'm looking at the very front of the Fayetteville Public Library and down the street. And again, it's just like if I was standing right in the middle of this intersection. Now I'm facing south. And that's something that's kind of cool too. When in this view, at least, you can see the compass right here. I'm facing mostly south, and I can just keep turning around. The compass is moving with me. And that is east down towards the Fayetteville Square. So I'm going to get out of street view right now. 1 second. And go back to the map view. It'll take a second to switch over. There it goes. And I'm going to take off, there we go, our street view option, since we're not doing that anymore. So we've taken a look at, of course, the general map view, the satellite view, and the street view. So let's look at one of the other main ways that people use Google Maps is, of course, to get directions from point A to point B. So how that looks here, it just looks like a street sign with an arrow to the right, and underneath it, it says direction. So we go ahead and click on that. It's going to give us a starting point and an end point. Now, in this case, I want the library to be my starting point. So I'm going to use this little up and down arrow here to reverse my starting point, my destination. We're going to start at the library, and we want to go up to Crystal Bridges Museum. So we're just going to type in that location. And search. And what comes up is, again, an aerial view of the route that is suggested that we take to get from the Fayetteville Public Library up to Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. You can see the blue line here is the suggested route, and it gives us a very brief, 34 minutes. It's about a 30-mile distance. And it gives that to us. And along the left-hand side over here, you can look at the details of the actual instructions for how the driving instructions for how to get there. So I'm going to click on that, and then it gives you more details on how to get from point A to point B. One thing that's really nice is you can send these directions directly to your phone by clicking here. You can share the directions, or you can print the directions. You can print it just with the text directions, the written out directions, or you can include the map, which for me, that's something that's, as a visual, is very helpful to me. So I like to do both. So, but you do have the option if you don't want the map printed out either. So just keep that in mind. Or like I said, it's kind of just handy if you want to just send it to your phone. They've added that option. So that's kind of nice. You have it on there. Next thing, we're going to move on to yet another Google app. You get out of Maps. Next thing that we're going to take a look at, whoops, let me get out of here. Get back to where I can see the little apps options. Next thing we're going to look at is Translate. And when you click on Google Translate, you get just, again, part of the appeal of Google is this kind of simple design and simple layout. I'm going to start here in this box on the left, and it's starting me off in English. And in here on the right-hand side is going to be the French translation of whatever word I type in here. So let's start with library. And it's already done the French word here. Or if I don't want French, I can click on Spanish, and it'll show me the word in Spanish. And if you click on this down arrow here, this drop-down menu, you can see all of the different languages that you can translate to and from. So I'm going to stick with English here, and we'll do another search real quick. Flowers. Here's the word in Spanish. It's already come up. Here's the word in French if I click that. Or again, I can pick any of these other languages. So also in this case, when I search flower, you get the French word fleur. You've got some other, you get a definition, you get different translations, you get a little more information about that than just the translation once you actually get your search terms put in there. Another kind of quick thing that you can use just using Google, just Google search, and that's it for translate. It's pretty straightforward. Another thing that I was going to point out that's very simple, like Translate doesn't have its own app, I don't think, at least not that I'm aware of. And the other things that you can do is you can do just some quick calculations too. Even if you just type in calculator, it brings up a simulated calculator that you can, start using either using your mouse, or you can use the number pad on your keyboard. You can clear that out, and there you are. You're just doing quick calculations just right there. Super simple, right at your fingertips using a quick search. Another nice thing to have is a dictionary. you can do a quick, if you type in the word define, you pick a word, it's going to bring up pronunciation. If you want to listen to somebody speaking the word scallion in this case, again, you get a little information about it, but you get a pronunciation and a quick definition of what that is. And then again, you know, being Google, you've got all of these other options that you can look up or click on. Let's look at, we'll define something else. We'll do botany. Same thing. You've got your syllable breakdown. You can have it pronounced for you and the definition of what it is. And then you get a lot of information off here to the side and all of your search results that are going down the page as well. So you've got a calculator, you've got a translator, you've got a dictionary, you've also got a converter. You can do a money conversion, a metric to imperial measurements. Let's do 5 millimeters to inches. And if you just type that in, automatically calculates that for you, and you can start making changes from here. You can start with, you know, inches and change it to millimeters and vice versa. So you've got different kind of measurements there, or you can convert dollars to pounds. Again, it just comes up right for, you know, just right away, and you can start making that, you know, let's say 25, you know, US dollars is that many pounds sterling. So again, very handy dandy info at your fingertips using the Google search screen. Google's the most popular search engine for precisely those reasons, for the ability for people to have quick access to these shortcuts and in services, and they're in an easy to use format. And again, you know, like I said, we didn't even cover all of the apps there, but there's going to be more things covered in the Google Apps Part 2 class. You know, Google isn't perfect. It is a web crawler, and it's out there pulling from lots and lots of websites on the surface, but you can very, very often find just what you're looking for quickly. However, if you are doing a more detailed and in-depth search and you need that kind of information for reports or for research, you know, you may need to search something, you know, like a periodicals database or a specialty database. You know, it's not true that everything is for free on the internet. That is why libraries still subscribe to databases and periodical databases, so people can have access to information that isn't free on the internet by doing either a simple or even an advanced Google search. So, you know, journal articles and things like that, it's not all out there for free. So keep that in mind. Google's great, doesn't have everything. So those are all the apps that we're going to cover, except for one other thing. We're going to talk a little bit about Gmail, which is the Google's free email service. Now you can get to Gmail from the main, you know, google.com page. There's a link directly to Gmail, or if you go to the little grid over here, it's the kind of the red M. You click right on Gmail. And I've already been logged in so that I can show some of the customization, like when we were looking at the news app. So I'm already logged in. And you know, some of this information, if you already have email or Gmail in particular, you know, maybe duplicate information, but maybe I'll show you something today that you didn't know that you can do with your Gmail. So when you open up your email, your inbox is what's going to be front and center. So you can see that I've got 3 emails right here. And then over on the left-hand side, I have my compose button, which is what I'm going to click on if I'm going to send a new email. And then along the left-hand side, you can see that the inbox is kind of bolded right here. And that's showing me that that is my active folder that's on screen right now. You've got these starred, snooze, important, et cetera, all the way down the line here. And some of those are default folders that you get when you have the email address. And some of these are ones that you can create yourself. And that is part of what makes Gmail great, is that you can create folders to kind of keep your inbox organized and direct those emails that are all particular to that certain subject or person. In this case, we've created a book club folder, a computer class folder, and a family folder. Now, off to the left here, next to the family folder, you see this little triangle, and that shows that there is more underneath that. I can expand that. And we have Bob, and so maybe Bob sends me a lot of emails or information or whatever Bob sends me. I can keep those emails separate from the rest of the families, or I can have as many folders as I want. I can have a folder for everyone in the family that way. So let me show you how you can create another label here to help keep your email sorted out and keep your inbox cleaned up. You'll click on this More and create new label. It's very simple. You just create that and say I have another family member that I want to add. Let's say Joey, and I want to nest it under family. So it gives me that option, and I can create a folder for Joey. And now we look over here again on the left, we have our family folder heading here with the Bob and the Joey subfolders underneath. So, you know, you don't want to go overboard, because instead of managing your email, you end up managing too many folders and labels over here. But it's nice to have those broken down, you know, especially if you are in certain, you know, clubs, say you're in the garden club, or your kids are in scouts or some sport or whatever. It's a way to kind of keep those emails that are relevant to each other all in one place. So keep the folders and the labels. Let's say too, I am going to start a new email here. So I'm going to click on Compose. And there we go. And you know, if you've sent email before, this isn't going to be any surprise to you. You've got your to, who you're going to send your email to. You've got the subject, the topic of your email, and then here you've got the body of your email, which is where you're going to include what you're writing about. And just underneath that, this to be or not to be, that is the question by Hamlet. That's a quote by Hamlet, and that's in the signature line. That is something that's going to be there on at the very end of every email that I send from this email account. And I'm going to show you how to create your own subject too. But in this, just starting an email, you've got your to field, is who you're going to send an email to. But I wanted to describe what the CC and the BCC, what that stands for. CC stands for carbon copy. So you can send a copy to Bob. Say you're going to send an email to Joey, but you want Bob to see it also. Another way you can do that by CCing or carbon copying an additional person. And everyone can see who you've sent that to. Bob and Joey can both see that Bob and Joey received this one email. But BCC is a little bit different. BCC stands for blind carbon copy. So say you're going to send an email to Bob, but you're also going to send it to Joey, but you don't want Bob to know it. So that is where you would put in a different address there for the blind carbon copy. And that is used often for privacy's sake. Say, you know, if you've got a group, you know, book club, and you don't share, everyone doesn't know each other very well, you can put the group's email addresses in the blind carbon copy, and then everyone gets the email, but everyone doesn't see everyone else's email. So it's just a privacy issue there. I have a note about the subject line. Always fill this out. You want people to open your email. You want people to read your email, and many times you need people to reply to your email. So giving a good subject line is going to make a difference there. You can even ask a quick question. But make it something that makes sense to the email that you're sending. So it's more likely that it will get read. So I just wanted to point that out. Of course, if you've sent email before, you've got all the ways that you can bold and change your font, change a color of your text and all of that. So we're not going to go into actually sending an email. I'm just going to close that out. In fact, let me just start an email here. I'm going to give it a subject of things to do. I'm going to go dry cleaners. I'm going to go to the store, go to the library, and then let's say I'm writing this very important email and I get interrupted, I get a phone call or I have to leave, but for whatever reason, I'm not able to finish this email and send it right away. I can close out of it, and it's okay, it's not going to go away. It's actually going to be saved for me in my draft folder, which is one of the automatic folders that are here on the left when you have your email account. So if I just click on that, there's my draft version of things to do, and it starts showing my email there. Very important. So just as a demonstration, don't worry if you start an email, you don't get it finished, it should be saved in your draft folders. Another thing that is handy is the sent folder. You can go back and check this, especially if you can't remember if you sent, and I can just speak for myself. Did I send that email? I can't remember if I sent it. You can go back and look in your sent folder and confirm, yes, I did send that. Great. And you can open it up and look at it and make sure that what you sent is accurate information too. Oh, did I tell them the right time or the right day, the right location or whatever? And just verify that you sent whoever you were sending an email to the correct information, that you actually did send it. So again, that sent folder is very handy, and the draft folder as well. I went back to the inbox. And one thing I wanted to note too is just some general kind of email etiquette, if you will, and just kind of a style tip. We've already talked about subject lines and making sure you use a descriptive subject line to get your email read, hopefully. Another thing to keep in mind is, just like with social media or with texting, all caps means yelling. So if you don't want to seem like you're yelling in an email, don't use all caps, because it does come across that way. And also you want to consider carefully what you are sending out, because once you send the email, you can't take it back. It's out there. Person, whoever, or group of people is going to receive it. So consider carefully before you hit the send button. And another thing to consider is to be sure that you're not overusing acronyms or emojis or emoticons, because not everyone is familiar with what means what, whether it be a picture or acronyms like BTW for by the way, or things like that. And even though email is can be a fairly casual communication system, maybe that using too many acronyms or emoticons and things like that, you might your message may get lost, or just be lost on the person that you send it to, because they may not be familiar with those terms. So just keep that in mind. Let me get to my notes here and make sure what is going to be next. Another thing that goes along with etiquette, and when you receive an email, you will have it's to you and a group of other people. You want to be cognizant of just who you're replying to. You want to just reply back to the one person, or do you want to reply all and reply to every single person who got that email? So be very careful when you select reply all. maybe in a group chat type of situation, a group organizing something that it might be appropriate, but just always think carefully if this is something that you're getting ready to send is something that you want everyone included in that email thread to see what you're about to say. So just keep that in mind. There's just reply, where you're just replying to the sender, or reply all, where you're replying to everyone else that is on that email list. Just keep that in mind. Another thing that I want to show you, and since this is not a personal email address, now my personal one has got more than 3 emails in it. So one thing I want to show you though is a way that you can delete more than one email. These little check boxes here, this is another way to keep your inbox cleaned out. Is you can, like this is the FPL August 2020 newsletter. Well, August is behind us now, so maybe I don't want that one anymore. And I can just click on this one checkbox. You can see I get a bunch of options up here. And in this case, I would want to hit the delete button to just remove that from my inbox. I'm not going to look at it anymore, and it gets put in my trash folder. Or say I don't want any more of these emails. One thing, I'm going to uncheck it. There we go. Up here on the very top line is just an empty box. And beside that, you have the option to select all of these emails and delete all of them. So if you've got a lot in your inbox that you don't want anymore, you can select all that are on display and delete them all at once. And it's a real time saver. Or again, if you've got, say you've got 20 emails here and you don't need half of them, you can just individually go check those and then hit delete. And it's a real time saver, and it's a great way to get your inbox cleaned out with stuff that you don't want. Another thing that will help keep your inbox cleaned out is if you, like everyone else, you've ever ordered anything online or given your email to a business or whoever, anyone that you've conducted business with, that you've given them an email address, they will start sending you emails, and maybe you don't want them anymore. So there's a way that you can unsubscribe from those emails. Now, the only ones I've got here from the Fayetteville Public Library, which of course I don't recommend unsubscribing from the library newsletter, of course, but say I need to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. And typically the unsubscribe option is at the very end of the email. So let's scroll down to the bottom, and we can look at all of this stuff. And again, this is from last month, so this isn't even current. And it's not at the bottom, but here, if you see that the message is clipped, it's not showing everything. So let's view the entire message. And we keep going down to the very end. And there you go. Now we've got some options to work with here. So way down here at the bottom, unsubscribe. And there's my email address. So I can click on that, and that's going to update my email address and take it off of their sender list. So that is really a great way to keep your inbox cleaned out, because like I said, anybody that you've given your email address to, that you've done business with, that kind of thing, and you start getting, ads or flyers or reminders or notifications or coupons or whatever, if you don't want them, see about unsubscribing at the very bottom. Go to the very bottom of that email and see if there's a way for you to unsubscribe so you don't get those in your inbox anymore if you don't want them. That's something that's very important to keep in mind, is that unsubscribe option. Another thing, and this is just kind of fun, over here on this little thing, it looks like a gear. That is your settings button. If you click on that, you get a few setting options that come up, or you can see all settings. I'm going to go ahead and click on those just so you can see the variety of options that you really have at your disposal when you're using Gmail. And the first thing that comes up is under this general heading. And it's a lot just under the general. And most of these I'm just going to leave set as default. you know, you've got all these different options for vacation announcement, all these different things. But the one thing I want to show you is about here in the middle, and that's the signature that I mentioned before. And, you know, for work, we have a form that we use. You know, it usually includes our contact information, our name and our title, and the library's website, and that kind of thing, in our signature. So it's on every email that we send out, and that information is always accessible to whoever we're sending our emails to. In this case, you know, this is just an example. This is a quote from Hamlet, that whatever you change it to is going to, let's just, and it just works like your email, like a little word processor. We can say, I think it already said to be or not to be. We could say, love is the answer. And just leave it at that. And when you do make any of these settings changes, make sure at the very bottom you save your changes or they won't take. I'm going to hit Save Changes. And when I go to compose a new email, here you can see that my new signature is already included. So that is how you would change your signature. Go to Settings, See All, and scroll down until you get to that signature section. And you just change it, type it however you want, and you've got different text and color options that you can use too. So you really, really have a lot of options. And like I've said, this is just the general heading. You can do your labels and inbox and accounts and filter. You can block and filter email addresses too. So you've got all these other options that we're not going to go over. But one thing that one of the last things I want to show you is the themes, and this is kind of fun. This is where you can look at, where did we go? There we go, set theme. I have one more button to click on that I missed. So right now you can just see that mine is, my background's very plain. It's just kind of a light gray, white color. But when you click on the theme options, you can pick something that, you know, either suits a mood or a hobby. Here's a chess, some leaves, you know, really all different colors and scenery and things like that. And there's even more images that you can load. I'm just going to pick one. Let's pick the chessboard. And as soon as I click on it, it should change right over. It takes a second. There we go. Let me close out of that. And you can see that that is now my the background. But besides that, that first section, you've also got some colors, some nature themes, really just all different kind of options. I'm just going to change mine to just this blue. It's very plain. I just changed. Whoa, that's very bright, actually. Whew. Maybe purple. Also bright. But you can just see that as you pick these different colors or different themes, it's just really a way to reflect your interests, your personality, your mood, whatever, at the time. I'm just going to leave it at this bright, I don't know, turquoise color here. I'm going to go get out of the Settings tab and just click back OK. Inbox. And there you have it. Now I've still got this, you know, this color theme, and this is going to stick with me, you know, anytime I get logged in, which I think is just going to bring us to the end of our class today. And what I want to make sure that you know how to do, especially if you're using any sort of shared device or shared computers, is that you know how to log out of your email address. And in this case, I'm just going to go up here for R, click on that, and there is my sign out button. So make sure, again, that especially if you're using any sort of shared devices, that you sign out of your account. So, you know, there's no mix up if you get into anybody else's or someone getting into yours, that kind of thing. So that's where you would do that, to sign out of your account. And I think that is all that I've got for you today. I just want to say, if you have any questions, you can certainly give us a call or go to our website at the library. Send us an email. The library is open. We do have some limited hours right now, but we are open. You feel free to give us a call, ask us some questions. We've also got some online classes through lynda.com and Gale courses that you can really get into a lot of detail about anything Google, from search engine optimization and Google Analytics for your business and all of the apps that we've gone over and more, some of the ones that we won't be going over in our classes. So if you have an interest in that, give us a call. Send us an email. We'd be happy to get you signed up for those. And we hope to see you at the Fayetteville Public Library.